Welcome back. Good morning, and good morning, and good morning, and good morning. We are in pursuit of the ultimate question from Fascinating Womanhood by Helen Andelin. And the question is whether or not there is any redeeming value for the principles and the ideas that she is proposing to married women in particular. In the 21st century, we just say women at this point because there are different models of relationships beyond marriage. So I don't want to throw the baby out. I'll try that again. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So the best thing I think is to glean from it what we can in whatever relationship we may be in. It's worth talking about, I think, and we're going to do that. So there are about 14 things that the book lists that it aims to teach women. And I'm just going to give you 5. One is the ideal woman from a man's point of view. The second is what men find fascinating in women. We talked about that a little bit last time. How to cause a man to protect you, provide for you, and devote himself to you. Babyface. He'll give you the moon, the stars, the trees, the mountains, the rivers, and the oceans. I don't think we're going to get that, but okay, let's go on. Number 4, the masculine role and respect due to this divine calling. And the 5th one I picked out is how to react when a man is thoughtless, unfair, and negligent. I'll take a sip on that. Angelic qualities. Angelic qualities. Angelic qualities plus human qualities. That is how Helen Andelin wants us to self-examine. So that brings us to the exercise. Hopefully you did it. And I will read it to you once again. If you didn't join us last time, really try to do this exercise, all jokes aside. It's really insightful and somewhat enlightening, at least it was for me, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. The assignment. In becoming the ideal woman, you are not starting from zero. Take a good look at yourself, and you'll find things to appreciate. Write down 25 things you like about yourself. I did my list, but I could not really focus, so I broke my list down into 4 different areas. One is my intellectual self, my spiritual self, my health from a perspective, and my personal life. Things that I like about those 4 areas. So there are some that I wanted to really talk about and illuminate or highlight more than others. And the reason is because I want you to know, first of all, that I can just walk the walk and talk the talk. Not just, how come I can never get those straight? I can talk, I do more than talk the talk. I walk the walk. Anyway, intellectually, what I like about myself is that I'm naturally curious and I love to learn, and that I am a person, as I said before, lack of discipline. Thank you for a friend being honest, telling me I do not color inside the lines. That will continue. You can afford to more of that. Under my spiritual, I wrote 2 items of others. One is observable growth in the word. I like that I was churched when I was growing up, and that although you spend those adult years saying, party time, I got it, there comes that point where you have a struggle in life or you stumble. And faith is what I went back to, and that helped me get through it all. So as the song goes, my mother prayed for me. She did. The second part of me that I like, second thing I like about myself from a spiritual perspective, is that I have blind faith. I think sometimes a little too much of it, where I'm more risk-taking than I should be, but that's just who I am. And that has to be good enough for someone, right? It's not everyone's taste. It's not everyone's preference and comfort zone, but that is mine. So, under health, and because this channel is going to eventually start talking about health, I'm very proud of the fact that I do pursue good health, and that I have made a commitment to myself that every year I will make it to a diabetes education course. If you are diabetic, please do this for yourself, because you're going to find out that you relax into it, and then you start to become undisciplined, and the next thing you know, woo, under my personal, I love being stylish. I think I'm stylish. Or is it just like a Dolly Parton thing? I don't know. I like my style anyway. I love the gap in my teeth, although that's one of the reasons I don't smile a lot naturally. I have to concentrate to do it because I trained myself not to show the gap in my teeth. So now is when we have a little story break. I grew up thinking that the gap was awful. I even talked to my neighbor who was a dentist about closing the gap in my teeth. And when he described for me in excruciating detail what it would entail, I backed out and I left it alone. And then years later, I would be walking down the street in New York, and I had been in Africa for a while at that point, but I had just come back. So I'm strolling down the street like I'm in, you know, I won't say where, but, well, I guess I can say, I said it last time, I was walking down the street in Lesotho, and a man working on a building was on a ladder, and I guess he noticed my stride was really slow, and then when he spoke, I smiled and said, "Hi, how are you?" And he saw the gap in my teeth. And that's the first time anyone ever actually said to me, that wasn't my mother or my family, that he loved the gap in my teeth and he thought it made me beautiful. So sometimes your self-esteem, even though Cat Williams says it's self-esteem, so it's yourself and you have to be responsible for it. Sometimes you do need to hear from people, and you do need to hear that you look nice, or to extend that compliment to another person as a random act of kindness. It's very important that you open yourself to compliment and be complimented. So just a personal note there. And a shout out to Tyra Banks. Why would you tell that young lady to close the gap in her teeth to be on America's Top Model? Did you check with Lauren Bacall? All right. I also like, going back to what I was talking about, I also actually like being an introvert. It's not been the best ride all the time. It can be uncomfortable sometimes, but I do like that I'm a sociable introvert who is able to continue working both ends of the spectrum a little bit. I'm trying not to be so much, but thanks to a friend, all these friends I have, I found out I'm a diabetic. I found out I'm an introvert, so found out ways to cope with it and to manage myself better. So if you're an introvert, or if you have a child who's an introvert, stay tuned. I'm going to do a series on that. Actually, not a series. I'll just do a video. So who's been fascinating? I wrote Cleopatra. She never officially ruled on her own. Did you know that? I thought she was, you know, handling it. Apparently not. She had a co-regent. She always had a co-regent. She was not known for exceptional beauty, yet her accomplishments did not suffer for that. She was able to use her intelligence and sense of diplomacy to be fascinating. Through Caesar and Mark Antony, she was able to secure the Roman Empire. I would say that makes her fascinating. What do you think? If that's not fascinating, what's fascinating, right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going. If you don't have a pen or paper, you might want to jot a couple of things down as they occur to you, as you're thinking about your own situation, your own relationship. I'll wait. Oh, now you caught me. I'm not having coffee this morning. I'm having cranberry juice. I'm so hot. I was sneaking past you, but you caught me because I cracked the ice. All right. So anyway, I want us to take note of 4 bullet points going into this conversation. One, oh, by the way, these are not my bullet points. I don't want to claim the work. These are coming straight from the book itself. The first one is, which we've heard our whole lives. One is, you are the keys to your own happiness. You own the keys to your own happiness. 2, the essentials of happiness for women in a relationship are love, self-dignity, and desires. So self-dignity, love, desires. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I don't want to over-define it and make this complicated. But moving into the third point, men are different from women in nature and in temperament. So if we can appreciate and embrace those concepts, then going forward in the conversation will at least line up with or be congruent with the conversation she's having in this book. Fair enough? Okay. One other thing though, just me. I find this word awakening a man, a phrase, awakening a man, is troublesome for me. And the reason is because if you are already in a relationship, which is what this book presupposes, then the whole idea that you have to awaken him to what? That he's in a relationship, or that he's married, or, you know, your partner even. I'm trying to make this as flexible as possible. If you have a partner as opposed to a wife or husband, when does that person not know that they're in a relationship and they have to be awakened? Presumably, some of the things that you're doing to awaken him are the things that attracted him. So I'm just not quite ready for the wholesale assignment for the woman to awaken the man. I would much rather enjoy watching him be awakened when we meet and maintain his state of wokeness as we continue through this relationship. So what are the different ways we interpret and define relationships? We talked about traditional roles, cultural definitions. We talked about the expectation of anyone in a relationship with a woman, religious definitions, the business aspects of relationships, and the social conditions of that family unit. So if you're a single parent, or if you've had a previous relationship, how do you then adapt to this or subscribe to this school of thought when in fact you have more than one partner to deal with. One with whom you're co-parenting maybe, or the other to whom you are now married or committed to. Please leave room for your partner's personality, for your partner's drive, for your partner's energy. I would not recommend boxing a person in based on what's in the book. Not at all. I think men can also find the book gives them a way to facilitate conversation with a woman about her expectations and what her love language is, to make sure that you're having the same conversation and that you're able to vibe with your woman a little bit. There's also a potential, unfortunately, that some men will read the book and look for a way to just a workaround. To work around what? I'm not sure, because in so doing, you're working around yourself. So I would hope that men are able to focus on women with an open mind and really try to absorb the dilemma that many women are in, trying to live their lives and satisfy a relationship. I don't think it's that easy, not anymore. Not the way our mothers and forefathers managed families, managed relationships. It's totally different now because time is not the same time that they had. We all got 24 hours, but how many things are happening on the outer perimeters of the relationship that make it even more difficult or more challenging, I would say, to maintain this so-called concept of, well, not so-called concept, but the concept of fascinating womanhood. Let's talk about men. What do you think? 8 things you need to know about men. Helen Andelin gives us 8 relationship rules for men. For being in a relationship with a man. Let me correct myself. Number 1, accept him at face value. Number 2, appreciate his better side. Number 3, admire his manliness. Number 4 is to make him number 1. Maybe that should have been number 1. Number 5, let him be the guide, protector, and provider. Number 6, let him manage the money. Number 7, don't wound his sensitive masculine pride. And number 8, be sympathetic and understanding. I just rattled those off and did not make any commentary for a reason. I believe that in order to do all of these things, or to provide or extend all of these things, a woman has to be encouraged. She has to want to. And she has to feel secure enough to set herself free to do these things. I think we as women have a way of compromising on some of these items when we're disappointed. As an example, I think number 1, accepting him at face value, we start with that, but we don't end with that at all. We start talking about trying to change him, and that's the next section. Just stay with me. We're definitely coming to that one. But I think we do accept men at face value, but on the expectation, or with the expectation, that they will continue to grow and improve and become better men. when a man seems to have gone stagnant, sorry, this thing is flashing at you because I have it going to sleep. I have to remember to touch it and give it attention. And what is it? Make my laptop #1. Okay, little jokey joke. So I think we definitely accept men at face value, but we want to see improvement. That's all there is to it. What man doesn't want to see improvement in a woman? You shouldn't look the same way, and you should not be as unfinished as you were when you met him. And what do I mean by unfinished? We all grow and change, and hopefully for the better. But I find, or I've observed, that women seem to be in hotter pursuit of self-improvement than men many times, particularly when it comes to our appearance, being engaging and being fascinating. Even though we don't call it that, that's pretty much what's going on there, right? Sympathy and understanding, and being sensitive to his masculine pride. Is that you? Do you do that? Or do you criticize? Are your expectations too high? Are they too low? Helen Andelin has something to say about low expectations too. We're coming to it. So let's talk about the faults in men that women try to change for his own good and for her own good. Helen Andelin talks about a man's personal habits. Women try to change that. We want him to be a little bit neater, a better roommate, right? We want him to partner. But if he's going into it with the expectation of more of a mothering kind of relationship, then, well, now you're not living up to expectations. But are you supposed to? I'm just asking. Every relationship is different. Every perspective is different, but I'm asking. How men spend their time. That's another one. He plays ball with the fellas too much. He's out at night, or he's at the game, or just kicking it with his friends. Too much for you. But what is it that we're expecting men to do exactly? Come and sit at our knee and just keep us company and we just gaze into each other's eyes? Or would you rather a man who is about his business, whatever it may be? Or do you just want him home more? Because the point is, if you want him home more, then you needed to have partnered with a man who likes to be home. That's my opinion. Social behavior of a man, we also want to change. We want him to be more charming. And, you know, I'm just going to skip over the cup and go with the glass. We seem to want him to display the Prince Charming values, when in fact, he probably wasn't that in the beginning. Some of them are, but what you see is what you get. However they start is how they finish. One thing about me, I do not stand around trying to correct behaviors. If in fact you feel that I should open my own doors and we're going Dutch everywhere and, you know, I'm homie, lover, friend kind of, I need to be inspired. I think most women feel that way. Why do you want to drag yourself through? I'm gonna stop there. Andelin talks about 4 consequences of trying to change a man. And the funny thing is, the last should have been the first, honestly. So I'm starting with that. First of all, you cannot change a man. She put it as number 4. I'm taking it back up to 1. It got promoted. So all others that follow, if you've ever tried to change anyone, you know that it doesn't come easy. And if you've never tried to change a man, let me warn you up front, you cannot change a man. He changes himself. The consequences that she talks about are to be expected, really. I think they are going to be consequences, whether it's him trying to change her or her trying to change him. But since this is about fascinating womanhood, we will talk about the 4 consequences she outlines for women who try to change men, and really there are only 3. The first point is it doesn't work. The second is that it creates discord. This stress and the struggle of I told you and I asked you and how come? Well, that pretty much is a dead-end conversation in a way, because he knows, right? He was there. So why keep telling him what he's already quite aware of? It's stating the obvious. The second is that it cools his feelings. No one wants to feel that you're after them all the time, or that they are up for a tongue lashing if they don't get it right again today or again this time. So again, how do you change a man? So we're not talking about correcting his behaviors, right? We're talking about influence. Influence. The last consequence is that it can cause rebellion, whereas the man does the complete opposite of what you have stated will make things better, simply out of spite or just to show you that you can't change me. And I think we've all been through that, whether it's with children or adults, men or women. No one wants to be made over. Isn't there a song? Don't make me over now that... So the sun is out and it's time for me to wrap up, but I want to get us ready for next week. I hope you'll be here. And I want to read a passage here. It says here, the ideal woman from a man's point of view is divided into 2 parts, the angelic and the human. The angelic side has to do with her spiritual qualities. This includes her good character, understanding of men, domestic skills, and a quality of inner happiness. The human side refers to her appearance, manner, and feminine nature, and includes the charms of femininity, radiance, good health, and childlikeness. Childlikeness. The angelic and the human combine to make the perfect woman. From a man's point of view, they make the perfect woman. They are both essential in winning his genuine love. And with that, I'm going to log off, sign off for today. As my cousin likes to say, over and out. And I will talk to you next week. Please give some thought to the list of 25 and ask yourself, maybe mark off the ones that are angelic as opposed to human. Talk to you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.